What's up guys, it's Andrew Cerruti with Nfocus Videos here. Welcome to Nfocus Videos Essential Guide to Filmmaking, where we talk and discuss about filmmaking gear and tips and tricks that you can use while you're doing filmmaking. Let me tell you a little bit about our approach to filmmaking. We take a docu-style journalistic approach to our filmmaking. Typically what we do is we'll show up to a client and do an interview and then shoot a series of B-roll shots and compile it into a short video that the client can then use on their website or on local TV or any of their marketing media needs that they're looking for. We're not by any means experts on any of this stuff. We're just here to share our experience from what we've learned in the past years from working with the gear and kind of the application and approach that works for us. So by no means take everything with a grain of salt, and you know, I'm always an advocate for saying whatever works best for you is the way to go. But this is kind of what we use and how we approach our filmmaking. So today I just want to talk a little bit about the filmmaking tools that we use real quick. There's a lot of videos online where they're really long and have a lot of long reviews and explanations. That's not what I'm here to do today. Today what I'm here to do is just quickly go over the stuff we use when we actually film. So we actually shoot about 1 to 6 videos a day depending on our schedule. So we're in the field shooting every day and editing every day. So we have to keep our workflow consistent and fast on a regular basis. And over the years, we've accumulated all sorts of equipment and found things that we use today and a lot of the stuff we actually don't use at all. So over the years, I've learned kind of what I've needed to use to get these shots and to tell the story that I'm trying to tell. So for you, it may be different, but this is kind of the bare essentials to what we kind of work with every day on a daily basis or every week for our run and gun stuff, which is primarily what we do. So without further ado, let me just go over this real quick. Again, this is just going to be real quick. If you want to see any in-depth reviews, I'm sure there's plenty. In future episodes, I'll talk about some of this stuff specifically. If you have any questions or comments, I'm more than happy to answer them. Or if there's any topics that you want us to discuss in future episodes, feel free to let us know. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So what we normally shoot with is for running gun is we shoot with typically something like a mirrorless camera like the Sony a7S II here. The reason I love the Sony a7S II is because of the 4K, the low light, and one feature that people don't know about is aside from APS-C mode in 1080, in 4K you can actually do a digital zoom in digitally, make your zoom lenses double or your prime lenses become zoom lenses, and it's a great feature that most cameras actually don't have. Also with zebras and audio levels and the manual controls that you get out of it is great. We also sometimes shoot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera because of the image quality. You can shoot raw and it's nice and small, compact, and these cameras are also really small footprint, so you can get into places like clubs and restaurants and not be there with a big camera and disturbing guests or anything like that. Another thing that I want to talk about quickly is just the lenses we use. After years of experience, I find that I always go back to my zoom lenses. So for zoom lenses for our wides, you know, the 16 to 35 is always great EF. The 24 to 105 or 24 to 70 is great, as well as the 70 to 200. I like my lenses at least 4 or 2.8 and above for nice depth of field. Also, if you were to go with primes, which we actually don't really shoot with anymore just because of the run and gun stuff, we'd like to be able to zoom in and zoom out on the fly. But if we're shooting anything like a music video or anything like that where we have the luxury of setting up our shots, we use prime lenses, and the prime lenses that we typically use are the 24, the 50, and the 85 millimeter. And also any type of footage we shoot outdoor, we typically use a variable ND filter. So the next thing I want to talk about is the for quick run and gun stabilization shots. We started out with with the glide cams, and then we switched over to the Ronin. Then we got the Ronin M, and then we got the DJI Osmo, which we use pretty much 99% of our time on a lot of our shoots now, just because it's so easy to use. It connects to your phone as the monitor. The image quality for what we do is completely usable, and it saves a lot of time from having to set up the Ronin, mounting the camera, switching lenses, balancing. Even though the Ronin M is awesome and we still use it on bigger shoots and things like that, but for quick run and gun shoots, we like using the DJI Osmo here. Also, what's nice is you can actually hook it up to a phantom battery, a drone battery here, or some type of lithium battery here, which is nice as well. So let me go on to just real quickly the audio. Next thing I want to talk about is the audio. I use wireless headphones. You can decide whatever ones you want to use, is up to you. I have Sony headphones, and to connect them to the camera, I have a Bluetooth transmitter. I absolutely love this setup because it allows me to get rid of the wire. I have one less wire I don't have to hook up into my camera. So Bluetooth headphones and Bluetooth transmitter that goes into the camera. Again, I have for interviews, depending what I'm doing, single person interview, I typically do the Sennheiser G3 wireless lavs here. They're rather costly, and I'll talk about pricing and stuff just in general a little bit later. But the Sennheiser G3s, and then some type of condenser or shotgun boom mic with a windscreen, or you can take it off and get a foam screen as well. We use this typically when we have more than one person in an interview and we need to go back and forth, and we found that we've had issues with interference and matching levels and everything. But if you are recording with this, we've now actually gone back to recording directly to the camera. I know people say don't do that, but it works for us. Whatever works for you, do you. But for a long time, a lot of the stuff for safety, we were definitely recording onto an external audio recorder like the Tascam DR40 here, which was great. So that's basically it for the video and audio stuff. Let me just go real quick into talking about some of the mounts and tripods here that we use. I think an essential piece of a tool that you'll need is definitely a tripod. Tripods are kind of, rule of thumb is, unfortunately, it's kind of, you get what you pay for. So obviously the less expensive ones, will do the trick, but you'll maybe want to spring for something mid-range to get something decent and reliable. I like Manfrotto as a brand. They're pretty reliable and easily fixable if anything does happen, and they're pretty compatible with everything. Another piece of essential equipment I can't emphasize enough is a monopod. So for a lot of run and gun stuff, you don't have the luxury of time to set up a tripod. So a monopod is your way to go, and you can tilt up and down, pan left and right, and you can even get some pretty cool dynamic camera movements if you're creative enough. So especially for weddings and event stuff, you definitely want to get some steady shots depending on what camera you have. Doing that. I did forget to mention one camera, but I'll talk about that at the end. So that's what we use for basically our tripods. And what we normally use to mount it is typically you had the 2-axis one that you can use for photography or anything. But we found that these swivel ball heads give us a lot of versatility in our run and gun stuff, especially when we have slider shots and things like that. So we've been using these ball heads ball head mounts to mount our cameras. And something that I'm sure everyone has seen before, and that the reason we're doing this video is because we got so many views before and thought we'd like to share more with you. But basically, we were excited to share the Eldachrome wing here, which we have replaced the typical slider with. Check out the old original video, I guess, if you want to see just a quick unboxing and review of it. And it's not in depth by any means. There's no examples or anything like that. I left a couple links if you want to check it out to see what it actually does in action. Yeah, this is basically our slider. You mount the camera on top here, and this allows the camera to mimic a slider movement left and right and forward and back. And it's great because it eliminates the bulkiness and a lot of the jerkiness that we were getting before with typical traditional sliders. That's it for the mounts. Let's move right along real quick. Just a quick run and gun lighting and audio. Again, for events and quick run and gun stuff, if we're going from the camera, we like to use the Rode Video Mic Pro here. I think the audio quality out of this one is superb to the other ones out there. And then we also use, depending on the situation, is this Manfrotto LED. I forget the name of it actually, but it's a Manfrotto LED light. And then we have a double mount here, and we can place it on top of the camera, and it makes it really efficient. Next thing we have is lighting kits. I think are pretty essential. You can see we're lit up here. I'm lit from the front. We like using a combination of LED lights, whether they're the traditional square ones or these photodiox flapjack ones, which are nice because they're battery operated. They give a nice soft even tone when you're shooting, and they're really portable. So let's see. Also, you'll need a boom pole. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this before, but you need a boom pole in certain situations, or a boom stand if you want to run boom to capture audio in certain situations. All right, we're almost done here. What do we got left? We have a drone. So we use the drone whenever we can. It just allows us to get some really epic shots, and shots we weren't able to get like 2-3 years ago, and it's just awesome. And the usability, I do want to stress that we promote and advocate safe, responsible drone operation. Definitely check the FAA regulations, get your drone registered, get certified, your license if you can, if possible. Be safe, be responsible, don't ruin it for the rest of us, because you can get some really amazing stuff out of this. We love this. This is the Phantom 3. I think the Phantom 4 is awesome. I think the new Mavic is awesome. I don't know too much about the other drones, but I hear like the Typhoon and other ones are really good. But whatever works for you, again, this is just what works for us. And then lastly, believe it or not, we use hoverboards for a lot of our stuff, especially when we're shooting with Osmos or Ronins or anything like that, or even sometimes just handheld. It just gives you a lot of versatility to do a lot of really cool things. So that's basically it for the gear. And then I just want to talk a little bit about another piece of gear, is the Sony AX53, or any type of high-end consumer camera we started using because of the efficiency it allows us. We're shooting on it right now, actually. It shoots 4K, and it's like a traditional camcorder, but it allows you to adjust your exposure, focus, and things like that, just enough to get a decent image quality. So we're happy to say a lot of our recent stuff we've been shooting on a camcorder, believe it or not. Kind of goes to my philosophy. It's not necessarily about the gear you have, but it's about the application and execution and how you're able to tell your story through moving images. And the camera and all this stuff are just tools that can help or not help you with that. So whatever can help you best tell your story. Lastly, I just want to talk about the NLE that we use. I use Final Cut myself, but I think My assistant Claude uses Premiere Pro, which I think is excellent. DaVinci Resolve, I've got a chance to dabble into. Again, I think all these three personally are probably the go-tos for me that I would rely on. Any of them I think are great. Just like anything with this equipment, NLEs, everything has its pros and cons. So whatever works best for you in your situation. So in our situation, we do a lot of run and gun stuff. So this is kind of our setup that we have in our gear bag or that we have loaded in the car with us at all time, so that we can get out and go shoot footage. We're not on all-day shoots typically. We don't rent cameras. We don't shoot on reds. We're not experts at color grading or color correcting, but we know what we like to see. We enjoy what we do, and we enjoy telling people's story. And I think that's really what it's all about in the end, is how can you take a camera, whether it be an iPhone or a red, and tell a story through moving images. And that's the beauty of video, and that's kind of why we love doing what we do. And again, we're here just to kind of share our experience and knowledge with you. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, feel free to leave them. This was awesome. I hope we get to do more. And thank you again so much for watching. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.